Sexual immorality has become commonplace in today's society. Porn stars, pimps, and prostitutes are viewed as celebrities, while millions of men are being enslaved to pornography and other sexual perversions. But there is hope and freedom from sexual sin. My name is Brett Hughes, and this is my testimony to the love and faithfulness of Jesus Christ. My earliest memory of sexuality was when I was around 5 years old, and a neighbor's small son and I discovered a pair of my mom's pantyhose. We tried them on and then laid together in bed, holding each other in secret. This seemingly innocent childlike curiosity would lead me into darkness. My sinful burden began at 12, and what started out as innocent voyeurism of lingerie advertisements and an occasional Playboy magazine would over the next 20 years grow and fester into an uncontrollable sexual addiction. My addiction to pornography started in middle school when a group of us would go to my friend's house and watch his dad's pornographic tapes. At the time I didn't see anything wrong with this, but looking back I see my brain was still developing at that point, and these pornographic images were just branded onto my mind, and it just laid the groundwork for future addiction. Then once the internet came into existence in the mid-90s, it gave me a private access line to view as much pornography as I wanted. Over the next 10 years this would develop into a daily habit with an average of 3 to 4 hours of viewing. Getting a continuous flow of pornography to my mind, I developed more perverse and alarming fetishes, with a constant masturbation and a craving that required more and more, yet never being satisfied. Pornography gave me instant gratification, with power and control over the woman, not having to worry about an actual physical person, but seeing her as simply a fleshly object to fulfill my desires. And when I was finished, all I had to do was turn off the computer or television. On the outside I kept a normal functioning appearance, never telling a soul of my unceasing inner lust. Eventually I would meet my future wife, and life was good, so I thought. May 2005, I accept Christ into my heart. I go up into the mountains with my brother-in-law to a Christian's men's retreat. At the end of the service, they ask if anyone wants to come down and accept Christ. I'll always remember what happened next. I was curiously looking around the room to see if anyone was going to walk down, when suddenly my arm slowly raised up by itself and I felt like I floated down to the front. A group of men circled around me and prayed as I recited the sinner's prayer. After I finished, I felt lighter, as if a burden was removed, and a tremendous sense of peace came over me. Over the next couple of months, my eyes were opened to the truth of Christ's sacrifice. A new peace and comfort resided in me. In that time, my girlfriend and I started to read the Bible and share it with my 2 sons. We would also welcome a new baby girl to our family. For the first time, life made sense, and I had a purpose. I also realized the greatest gift of accepting Christ was that He completely took away my addiction to pornography. It was literally like a switch was flipped. I had absolutely no desire or compulsion to view or see any type of pornography. This was the greatest blessing, and I praised God for it. I would later realize how much I took God's grace for granted. As time passed, I would neglect my Bible reading, and I would rarely pray. My biggest mistake was not reaching out to other Christians, or to God. I still had questions regarding the validity of the Bible. Although I knew Jesus Christ and He came into my heart, I didn't believe other parts of the Bible. I found it hard to believe about, the flood and Noah and the ark and other things that just seemed way too unbelievable. So over years I personalized my faith and could not believe that Christ was the only way into heaven. I could not see a supposedly all-loving God condemning Buddhists or Muslims or agnostics or any others that didn't share my faith. My slogan basically became, well, Christianity is what works for me. Who am I to say another's belief is wrong? We should just be open-minded and let God sort it out, basically. Christ completely took away my addiction to viewing pornography. During this time, I hadn't looked at any pornography online or in magazines or anything like that. But I still had a hard drive, my mind, full of perverse and detestable fantasies that I could easily replay in my mind while adding my own desires. So instead of sitting at a computer endlessly searching for specific pornography, I could sit in a park or a mall or even church or wherever and play out my wicked fantasies in my head. As I sank deeper into sin, my spirit was in conflict and God seemed very distant. I have guilt and condemnation, shame, all that every time I masturbated and fantasized about these things, and I would just cry out and ask God just to take this sinfulness out of me, just take it away from me. And yet I would go back a few hours later and replay the whole thing. This went on over and over again and did the same thing again and again. I would pray and sin, and it just seemed like it was a never-ending cycle.
The light of Christ was fading within me. This is not a visible light, but a spiritual light that only Christ can impart through the Holy Spirit to every believer. As I sank deeper into sexual sin, my relationship with God was broken, and I was slipping into spiritual darkness. I exchanged the truth of God for a lie, and the lie was consuming me. During this time, I kept this sin a total secret because of shame, guilt, and embarrassment. Stress began piling up in my life, and my heart was growing cold. The only time I found pleasure was when I masturbated and entertained my depraved fantasies. My sexual sin had completely taken over my relationship with God.
I just got to the point where I thought this was an unbeatable sin. I just thought this would be something hung around my neck for the rest of my life. And I basically had lost any and all remaining hope.